access to the Twitter, eh?
No.
1 second. I don't either. But let's see. People might jump on here.
Yeah.
Since we're live. Now we're live. Oh, we should do a 3, 2, 1 clap quickly. For the Audacity.
Sure. But
yeah.
Nick's gonna cut out. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Just for
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, there we go. So actually, it is on Twitter. So I'm gonna retweet the heck out of that. And we are live on YouTube. Connect streaming software. We are connected.
Let's see, youtube.com. Let's see if it works. Oh, live streaming.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have a few people in there. There we are. Hello. We just decided to go live because why not? Because we can do whatever we want.
Yep.
We can have some fun.
Let's see. This will be interesting though, because if you watch this, then you'll be weirdly 2 episodes, 1 episode ahead of the rest of the universe.
That's right.
We'll give it a few more minutes here.
Yeah.
Now, professional streamers will do like a little banner thing to wait for people to come in. We're just gonna say nothing.
We don't have like neon. We don't have neon signage stuff. Yeah, this is a nice way to say, hey, we weren't here last week, so hey, what's up?
Enrique, you didn't miss us. You had all those great opinions from producer Nick. Jake, yes, we are nerds. That's kind of what we do here. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, Esteban. Captivating hair. What's up?
Hi, Marianne.
Hi, Marianne. Yeah. So we were like, we just recorded 1 episode.
Which will come out this Friday. Yeah.
This is next Friday.
Week's episode.
And we were like, hey, we're doing this. It's 6 p.m. Eastern. Let's just do a live stream. So we're going to just chat for a little bit, and then we're just going to do the regular old episode for funsies.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am not, because I can still taste things. I do not have the COVID, thank goodness. Yeah.
I wonder if Jake would do it. Would Jake do it? I think Jake would do it.
Jake is a beast. He ate 50 spicy nugs in an hour.
Oh my gosh.
You can't do.
Yeah. How does one's gut survive that?
Yeah. Not a taxi. Wow. Hey, in your opinion, you're going to solve an argument that I've already won. But in your opinion, is Advent the new year? What's up, Jack?
But remember, didn't the church create the Gregorian calendar?
Yeah, as a secular calendar for fun.
But it's still like, anyways.
It was, this is my argument. You'll hear this Friday, but it was year A, now it's year B. Therefore, new year. I don't think you can, we talked all this philosophy. I don't know how you can argue with that very obvious distinction.
Whatever.
Got a new book, got a new bravery. It's new year. Happy New Year, everybody. New Year is indeed said in many ways.
That's very St. Basil of you, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have to do work after this? Do you have to do work after this, Father Harrison?
I don't have anything. I have some phone calls to make, but it's nothing. I have nothing scheduled for us today. My schedule ended at 10:30 in the morning.
Good.
You obviously have work and stuff, but my day has been. My weeks are a little quieter right now.
Oh yeah, because you can't do brief stuff.
Well, I can. I just can't do it with people around.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're locked down. It is what it is.
Yeah. I have a cough drop, which is terrible podcasting etiquette.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Talking like this.
So now you have to finish it before we actually get into the topic, before we actually get into the official podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, Marianne.
My throat was getting real scratchy at the end of that.
We actually mentioned that on the last recording because, yes, I can actually pray with my book now. I'm very excited. So, word. How's your cough drop doing?
It's good. I feel much better.
Are you still chewing on it?
I can. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, chewing a cough drop is not fun. The ones I
No, it's
really
not.
like, there's like the ones with they've got like a gel inside the cough drop. Super delicious. It's like got extra numbing effects.
Oh, interesting.
They're good because they work really well. They're bad because like if you're either chewing or just sucking on them, they'll get like a very sharp edge on there, so you might cut
Yeah,
your tongue. But it's worth the risk,
yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Thanks, Barry. And yeah, it's a big church. It's a huge church. Lots of work to do on it.
Yeah.
Expect a long break between classes. Hey, nice glad trad. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now you can do some
Right.
real learning. Some real
learning.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you're studying, but it's probably stupid. And now you're gonna get that. You're gonna get a degree
The
in
real learning.
clericalism or
Yes,
whatever.
Yeah.
Father Harrison,
right,
why don't you have punctuation on your little name tag?
I don't know.
Because now it just looks like for real Harrison instead of Father Harrison.
I don't know. It
In
just
my opinion,
looks,
I don't know.
it just looks like father.
Yeah.
It's actually technically when you abbreviate street, you're not supposed to put a period after it. Or no, sorry, let me rephrase that. You put a period after street. You're not supposed to put a period after ST for saint.
Really?
Yeah.
How
Because
do you abbreviate saints plural?
STS.
Not SS period?
No. Well, that's like the Roman way.
Is it?
I think.
Okay, so it's not.
I think that's like
crazy.
the Roman way. I think it's the Roman way. I think. Yeah. The Italian way.
I'm upset because my phone is so old and bad that trying to get an update for it is super annoying. But the new update's got the Italian emoji, and I need it. I need it so much.
David, the day will come. When you get into more episodes, you will find out.
I'll give you the short answer is that I didn't want to be a priest with 20,000 followers. I couldn't handle it. It was too much on my psyche, my emotion. I was tired of everybody misjudging me and me having to watch everything I said. So I just didn't need that in my life anymore.
That's right.
Yeah. So now I just got a little baby Twitter just with some people. But it's not even like I'm not even bad at the Summa because I don't even know what's really going on in the wider world.
I'm the one doing all the work. I'm the one.
I
Doing
find
all
out
the work.
tweets about people's like kids and their babies and like goofy stuff, and that's what I want from the website. I don't really want any more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's fine. It's just yeah. Since
Jake,
we're doing this,
Jake, I already have that taken care of.
yeah. See, I did have more, and he accused me of having like Russian bots. He could not believe that many people would follow me. It's like, well, I'm a priest and I'm kind of funny and I'm not a jerk, and that's how I got the followers. I'm sorry, that's hard for you to understand. He was very, very jealous of my followers. Like, come on, man, this is just a game. It's just Twitter. But whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting, Levi. That he says I learned in homeschool life that titular abbreviations don't have a period in British English, but they do in American fake English. Because Levi, like me, is a Canadian.
A Canadian. Yeah, a lot of the young priests, the baby priests, have been going after the rad trads lately, and I'm like, you know what? I've retired from the e-wars. Godspeed.
I'm like, I've been there. I've done it.
It's not worth it.
Yes,
not worth it.
It's just not worth it.
One thing I will say for Chase is that he's a saucy dude. He does not back down from stuff.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, shall we do our recording here?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. So, I did something radical last Monday.
Radical? Did you go skateboarding? Did you do a kickflip? Do a kickflip. Do it.
No.
Did you go surfing? Surfing's pretty radical.
In this weather?
I don't know.
The waves would be huge. Oh, people go to Tofino at this time of year for the massive waves. It's cold as heck, but
okay,
yeah.
wait. I got more guesses. Did you do any parkour? Parkour is pretty radical.
No.
Are you training for American Ninja Warrior?
No.
Okay. I give up. What did you do that's radical?
On my last, not this past Monday, but the Monday before, on my day of rest, I recognized at the end of the day I had spent way too much time in front of screens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I had been thinking about for a while. And a part of this has to do too. Like, so I'm still working on my ADHD stuff. We've increased my meds twice now. I'm at like 36 milligrams a day. And actually the new stuff's working great, which is awesome. And it's feeling more organized. My brain's less scattered, and it's releasing better. So it's helping me organize my life better. But I was still like, man, like there's just stuff that gets in my way. And I was like, I was on my phone too much that day, and I had to charge it like 2 times or something like that. Crazy, right? So what happened was I kind of sat there and I said, this has gotten stupid. And I'm not okay with this. And it's interfered with my life too much. Mm-hmm. And I need to remove a lot of screen time from my life. So I went on my phone. I deleted almost all my apps. I deleted Twitter off. So Twitter's only on my computer now. I deleted Instagram, so I'm done with that, I guess. I deleted. The only thing I have left is a few texting apps, so I can text with American friends, like banking or rewards apps. Because
I'm an American friend.
Yeah, but I can text you with the iPhone, so that's fine.
Okay.
You know, like the ones who don't have iPhones. You know,
I want my own app. Texting Father Harrison for Father.
There you go. Well, maybe we can get someone to make that up for us.
Yeah.
So I kept like a couple things that obviously I'm not going to. Anything that was tempting to scroll with was gone. Like that's my home screen now, and that's it.
Wow.
That's all I have on my phone. And so I got rid of podcasts and audiobooks and texting stuff and a couple like banking or reward stuff. And that's it. I got rid of the browser. I got rid of all social media. I got rid of any games. Didn't matter. It's gone. Subsequently, I've also taken my Apple TV. Apple TV out of my living. I actually have an old Apple TV and a new one, and because I have a TV in my room too.
Okay.
So I have my own TV. The rectory has its own, and my parents bought me one a few years ago, right? So
wow. You have the Devil's Tabernacle in your own room. The TV.
I know.
I always suspected I was holier than you, but now
there you go. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, the Devil's Tabernacle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's.
Anyways, I moved the Apple TV so there is no Apple TV in my living room anymore. So I can't even, and I'm canceling the cable because I don't really watch cable TV anyways.
Yeah.
And so really, if I want to, so I can still watch a movie. I can move the Apple TV back in here if I want to watch a movie, but that's like. It takes the temptation of like sitting around having lunch and then watching TV for an hour instead of, eating lunch in 20 minutes. My life is so much better. I cannot believe it. So yes, obviously a screen time now kind of does obviously migrate to the computer a bit more because I have to do emails. I have to spend time with this stuff, but my life is really good right now. With all of this, I have way more free time than I ever thought possible. I've organized my dining room table where I'm recording from right now. This is now my study area. I've got books organized perfectly. It's kind of awesome. I read 100 pages last night, no problem. It felt awesome. Now, there is that worry that says is this just a short-term thing? But I've survived very well without any of these things on my phone.
Did you have any withdrawals?
None.
I gotta check Twitter on the app. I gotta give me some of that Twitter.
So the first couple of days, it was just more of a habit of going to my phone. I'm like, oh wait, there's nothing.
Why am I doing this? Why am I picking up the brick?
There's I only have to charge my phone at night now.
Wow.
Because I don't use it enough. This has been kind of amazing. I think it's something I think I'm going to keep because social media is good. It's important. Every screens have taken over my life, and part of it comes from just my childhood. We grew up watching TV all the time, so it's just I think it became kind of an ingrained habit for me forever. But it also fed the ADHD.
Yes, that would do that. Yeah,
right. And just that day, I was just like, oh, it was almost like you hit a rock bottom with screens. Like, what am I doing with my life? And it gave me the courage to make the radical move in that one moment. To realize my day felt so icky with all that. I just needed to remove everything. And it's been over a week now, and it's been no issues. There is a few inconveniences. I can't, if someone sends me a link on text, I can't go look at it. But I don't care. It's whatever. It's not the end of the world. And so I'm not on my phone as much. And so I'm out of bed now within the 3 minutes in the morning.
Not bad.
Because I can't go on my phone and be lazy in bed.
Yeah.
I'm praying more. And I'm also more concentrated in prayer because I keep my phone near me because it is the phone for the rectory and everything. So if an emergency call comes in, but I'm not getting buzzed with updates and not tempted to go on Twitter when I'm in prayer. This has been the best move I've ever made in my life.
That's good. The difference between you and me is that I feel like that would be very beneficial to me, but right now I just don't care enough to do it. I've done a little bit. I've blocked some things in my internet browser and that sort of thing. But
I mean, your phone is so old, anyways. It's not like you can do anything on it.
No, I mean I can do something on it for like 15 minutes and then it dies. So,
but honestly, this has been just amazing, and I find even now, even when I'm in front of my computer now, I don't feel the need to be on it all the time. I don't like. You realize how often you go to these things not because you need to,
right?
But because you want to either distract yourself for a bit or you just want to cover up a couple minutes of boredom.
Exactly.
And now it's like, no, I could go do that chore, or I can answer that email, or I go for a walk. Or it's like, so when I eat lunch now, I just try to listen to an audiobook or a podcast or something. This has been awesome.
Delightful. I'm proud of you.
So I wanted to share that with people because I think it's going to be different for everyone. This is what I think I needed to do.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, welcome to Clerically Speaking. I'm Father Harrison.
I'm Father Anthony. So Father Harrison, everyone agrees I'm a good priest, correct? Correct. Thank you for agreeing with me. Yes. So I went to spiritual direction about 2 weeks ago. Whenever I go to spiritual direction, I go to confession. So went to confession, like I normally do at the end of spiritual direction, said the sins, and the priest says, now say your act of contrition. And I said, God, the Father of mercies, through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, has reconciled the world to himself and sent the Holy... And he goes, stop! That's my line this time. So I started saying the prayer of absolution for my act of contrition. He's like, don't get me wrong. It would have been great if you just absolved me of your own sins. I don't know how that would work. And I was like, man, I think I need a nap. And he's like, yeah, I think you do too. I guess I've been hearing a lot of confessions, but I could not stop laughing at that. So I think everyone has embarrassing moments in the confessional. Like a lot of times when I'm hearing the confessions of kids, I raise my hand for the prayer of absolution. I've received many high fives at that point in time, which is funny. Or other people make flubs or mistakes here and there for confession. But very few people are in the illustrious club of trying to absolve your confessor of your own sins. I am one of those members.
That's pretty unique. That's amazing.
It is.
I had a similar experience just on Sunday. I was doing spiritual direction with someone over Zoom, and we're just chatting away. I mean, this is all temporary. I hate using digital means for spiritual direction. It doesn't work, but we have to for now. But at the end, I said, I'll give you a blessing. So I give the blessing, and then at the end of the blessing, I said, go in peace. Your sins are forgiven. Go in peace. I was like, wait a second. I didn't give you absolution. Why did I just say that? And I was just like, oops. And this happens with priests because you do blessing stuff so often that sometimes it just bleeds together.
Yeah. Like one morning I was super tired, and I always say a prayer before we get started with Mass in the sacristy. And I totally did, bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, which we're about to... But it actually kind of applies for the Mass. It kind of does.
There you go.
The thing is, I've been doing confessions for our faith formation kids. So every week you do one class. So I was doing just after First Communion, whatever grade that is. And let me tell you something. There's nothing like hearing the sins from a kid who can't quite say his R's correctly. There's something very adorable about it. And so that's been fun, hearing the kids' confessions. Not because hearing their sins is fun, but just it's a neat opportunity to not be a jerk. At the very least, they went to confession as a little kid, and I was nice to them, and hopefully they remember that.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy doing that and being fatherly in that aspect for them. So that's been delightful. And then afterwards, I get to go visit the CCD kids, which is something I don't do enough. But since I'm in the building, I'm like, I should do that.
You see, you guys have a lot more flexibility to do stuff our religious set's all online right now. It's probably gonna be like that for the entire year. There's just nothing happening in our building outside of, and right now, not even liturgy. So, I mean, hopefully by the time this one drops, we'll be reopened, but who knows?
For us, it
Oops,
depends.
what to say?
Whomst is to say, indeed. Like for us, our school is closed because one of the teachers got the COVID.
Hmm.
But so far, we've had no cases in CCD, so we're still doing CCD. But we're all kind of on pins and needles, waiting for that first case to happen.
Hmm.
But until we get one, we're gonna keep doing stuff. That's the plan so
Hmm.
far. For better, for worse, that's what we're doing. So
No, that's it. Yeah, um, we got shut down last week from the government asking not just churches, but also like anything event wise was just all
yeah.
shut down for 2.5 weeks because our numbers were rising pretty quickly. So it is what it is. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. So, but yeah, well, shall we do some Summa?
Oh yeah, tweets.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's head into the Summa Tweetologica. So the Summa Theologica with St. Thomas is the summary of theology, and the Summa Tweetologica is our summary of things we found interesting on Twitter. And I had two from JD that I wanted to share, but I'm going to just do one.
Okay.
I think I'll just do one. I'll be good. This is a good one. This is a good topic of conversation. So his tweet says from JD Flynn, for all the talk of the post-parish church, what if the pandemic reminds us that a territorial community of Christian solidarity is both a source and conduit of much needed grace? And this is a really important topic because, like, so for those who aren't aware, like, there's a lot of people who think that there's that the idea of even a parish church is kind of, those days are coming to an end. I've heard that talk a lot, right? That like I've heard ideas, for example, saying maybe that parishes are more according to different charisms and stuff like this. But I think JD's point is good, and I think it's one of those things that this is a moment to be listening for in the midst of what we're going through. Is this question about the importance of a parish, and because like what he's trying to get at is this idea of like a localness of a community of Christian solidarity is it's the incarnation. It's the place where God gives us grace locally. The community we have locally, everything that we have is just there in the parish. And I think in these times where we feel so distant from people, where society is even feeling very fractured, I think that's due in fact to the lack of localness. And so like there was, before even all this kind of hit, there was a lot of emphasis on local buying and stuff like that. I think you're going to see actually even more emphasis on the idea of localness after this, because like a parish is like, and this is the thing, because like, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that we'll start to see that a parish is also not just something that is just the building as well. The building is important and essential. It's where we come together for liturgy and the life of communion. But that everything we do outside of, as a parish, so if it's your family, you're ministering to someone who's poor on the street, that's a work of the parish, right? And that we see like the parish as this conduit of grace, not just locally to ourselves, but also to the local community in general. And so then it becomes this kind of outpouring of Christ's grace to the world. And that's only possible when the incarnation is taken seriously. So I kind of agree with JD in this. And I think it's something worth pondering and reflecting on. And I think it's going to be something that we're going to need to think of as we maybe, it seems, will be coming out of soon.
I don't think anything's going to change, at least not immediately, because in order to think about that, you have to be thinking about things. And the thing is, for better or for worse, I think for worse, I think you've got a lot of people in leadership who are, this is the way we've done it, and this is the way we're going to do it. And also, there's a lot of inertia to a parish culture. Like, cultural change is very difficult. And so, like, you get sucked into this inertia of this is what the parish is, and this is what the parish does. And it's tough because, we keep thinking about, like, new ways to be parish, and we just don't know because we haven't tried a lot. Or even I have a buddy of mine who was thinking about this idea about having for new people who are walking into mass for the first time, when they walk into like the vestibule, there'll be a QR code and you can scan it with your phone, and then your phone will lead you through the mass and tell you what's going on, when to sit, when to stand, that sort of thing. Explain stuff as you go on. I'm like, cool. That's a great idea in some sense, but it also just continues to allow Catholics to be comfortable instead of reaching out to the person, instead of someone guiding them through the mass, a person, because we really don't like personal encounter. So even as we try new ideas, and I like the brainstorming, the thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to be tough because we only know what we've known. We've only experienced what we experienced. And so, one, it's going to take a lot of courage, but also you start changing stuff up in the parish, and a lot of people who give money, a lot of people who do things, they're not going to like it. And so, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't think we can downplay how difficult it is to do cultural change. Now, the one thing about something like the pandemic, and this is why I'm actually going to double down on my thing, nothing's going to change soon, is that we've had the perfect opportunity that a lot of stuff was burned down for a long period of time. And instead of trying to do new things, instead of trying to, hey, we need to think about what it means to be parish, you know what we did? We did live streaming. Now everyone does live streaming, and that's it. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that you're not right yet. And I mean, I just don't know how much with like you can get so overwhelmed and just run over by the forces that surround you, and it takes a lot of courage and leadership to start trying new things or to form a spirituality among your parish, among your staff, among your parochial vicars, your permanent deacons. And like, hey, your pastoral council. We need to start thinking about what it means to be parish. That requires a lot of teaching, a lot of listening, a lot of time and effort. Probably most of your time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're worried about budgets and the fact that people aren't giving as much money and these programs are failing, or we need to revamp faith formation, or we need to do this, it's going to be very difficult.
I don't disagree with you. Like, my worry is then what's God going to have to do to make us listen? Because
yeah, that's a good worry. Because if you read any of that Old Testament book, there are no lengths to which he will not go to reform his people. So,
right. So then if first, okay, quick plug. Mm-hmm. These are questions I proposed in my new book.
Yeah. What's the name of that book? Where can you get it?
Finding Christ in the Crisis. OSVCatholicBookstore.com is your best place to get it. You can also get it on Kindle, on Amazon. It looks like they're having troubles getting it up on Amazon for single copies, but buy many because you can get it's so cheap. That's the whole point. It's cheap. Buy it for your parish. Give them out in your parish, because this is the question. We propose this in the book, and this is like an important question because, and this is the hard thing. It's like, I get the habits and the cultures that we've developed around parish life are so ingrained in us that to start to think differently is hard. Even in the midst of a pandemic, you see it. People just want to grasp on to what worked beforehand still. Yeah. But it's like, we need to really, need to think differently about that. And I mean, it's hard and it's difficult. It takes a lot of formation. But actually, for example, I think actually the ways we responded isn't so much a sign that we haven't learned. It's just a sign that we obviously didn't do a good job in teaching people what it means to be a parish, or to help them understand what it means to be a parish. Like, so, I remember, someone saying, what are we doing? And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Like, are you phoning up the parishioners who are at home by themselves, who have no family? That's the work of the parish, right? Part of me wants to say like the institutional side is important, but it's not reducible to the institutional side. There's the canonical kind of spiritual side too of a territorial parish, and it has its place and its importance. I just want, I think we need to say like, okay, God, things have changed. How am I going to listen in this so that we can be more fully the church you ask us to be? But I also, honestly, I think that is a question at least every priest should be asking.
Yeah.
And I would hope every Catholic is asking, because that is the question we should be starting off with. Not, I want this out of the, I want this today, and these are my rights. Or it's like, no. Again, like Israel, God, what are you doing right now? What's God's will?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
I hope so.
I
Who
hope
knows?
we do our part, whatever that is.
And I
But
mean,
yeah.
but like cultural change isn't overnight either, right? Like these
Right,
things
exactly.
it is small, it does take time. And I'm just hoping we can say, listen, things didn't, obviously what we did beforehand doesn't work because look what happened.
Yeah.
We fell apart. So what can we do to build the pieces back up?
Yeah, it's tough because going back to normal when normal wasn't good, but it was comfortable. But
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, this tweet is from Alfred the Great at Alfred_D. He says Christmas trees quite likely have a pagan origin, and we should keep them. We should keep giving them pride of place in our homes, as one would for any trophy captured from a defeated enemy.
I love this. Isn't that
First
great?
of all, I mean, just like to point out the obvious, that's a really hardcore way to look at Christmas trees, and I support it.
Yeah.
But also, sometimes I think we think too much about these things. Like,
Yeah.
can't a Christmas tree just be a Christmas tree? Like,
Right.
I mean, it's true that like symbols have deep meaning, but it's also true that symbols do change over time.
That's right.
And what does the Christmas tree mean now? At least for most people, it's a sign of family, of getting together, of joy or of peace or of excitement for something good that is to come. And while that's not everything, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
Like I've gone back and forth in my extremism for Lent. I mean Advent. In my seminary, I would get this little plastic Christmas tree, and I would keep it on my desk during Advent, but I only decorate it during Christmas. And that's fine. And the neat thing is that like there's a lot of young Catholic families who are experimenting and making their own new traditions, and all that's fine. But also sometimes your family has a tradition of buying a Christmas tree early and getting together and decorating it. And there's nothing wrong with that either. We can't become like too crazy about this sort of thing. And especially in 2020, like everything has been bad. You can have your Christmas tree early if you want to. Okay.
I've already started baking.
See, exactly. But I think we can sometimes in our zeal to reclaim or rebuild a Catholic culture, sometimes we can get a little bit crazy. And not everything is a big deal or as extreme as it needs to be. Like I said, that being said, I love this perspective. It's hilarious and I like it. But it did make me think of sometimes people get just a little bit too crazy about everything has to be super Catholic all the time. It's like things can be normal too, and that's actually pretty Catholic. Like,
Right.
you think about it, ordinary life is the most Catholic thing you can have. God works through the ordinary. That's how he normally works. This is an example I give all the time. Like, God uses ordinary bread and ordinary wine. And if we're really honest about it, like, pretty subordinary bread and wine. We're not giving you the best stuff at our parishes. That would be too expensive. He takes that and turns it into his body, blood, soul, and divinity. You know, he takes a man and a woman and through the sacrament makes them one and can make them saints and a holy couple and a holy family, like ordinary people. And they become that through living ordinary life, which is sometimes tedious. Jesus Christ thought ordinary life was so good. That's what he did for 30 freaking years. He was just being a carpenter. Like, it was so boring that none of the evangelists wrote about it. It was just, whatever. And there's something good about that.
Right.
So my point is that it is okay to be cool and normal and chill and not to freak out about stuff.
Right. Yeah. So a few things. Like, first, I just love that tweet. I thought it was hilarious.
It is. It's hilarious. I do like it a lot.
I thought it was, but there's also points to this truth. And it's just something I think a lot of Catholics forget sometimes. So a few things. First, the idea of Catholic culture is a bit of a misnomer because one of the beauties of Catholicism is that its ability to be comfortable in many cultures. One of the things Henri de Lubac talks about in his book Catholicism is this idea that Catholic, in its understanding of being universal, means that it really is the fullness of all humanity, and anything that is true, good, and beautiful, even if it is of pagan origin, can be honestly lifted up into that, right? And it's And so we need to not like freak out about these things. But yeah, this other idea is like, yeah, remember, like actually Catholicism is not just Roman.
Also true.
And even Roman Catholicism has its different expressions. Like I did a baptism on Saturday, and the mother is calling me up saying, like, so where do I get the big candles where I write the date on the candle and stuff like that? And where do I get the sash? I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, and I know because every culture has its different things around baptism. You do a Filipino baptism, there's 20 godparents, even though you only need 2. There's 20 godparents, right? But this is part of the culture's response to the gift of the sacrament, and and so this is the beauty of Catholicism. It really isn't reducible. It's not really a culture in a way, because it's meant to encompass the whole of humanity. And so its cultural markers are very limited. And so like stuff like the Christmas tree is not a bad thing. And listen, like I also look at it this way. It's like, because I get you too. I've kind of gone that direction myself, and I'm like, no, the Christmas tree in the end, it's an anticipation of the light to come, and that's really what we're trying to celebrate in Advent, anyways. We don't really get to the fullness of the joy until Christmas Day, anyways, with the presents and all this stuff. Right. So it's like, let's just chill a bit and not make everything into a culture war. Yeah. Everything does not need to be a culture war. But also remember, like, really, this has been actually one of the great geniuses of Catholicism, is that it looks for the good in all things. And if it's good, it comes ultimately from God. And thus is worthy to be honored and lifted up into our Catholic traditions.
I think there's some kind of analogy here about, Christians move about in the world like a soul does in the body. And there's something about, it's like the cultural expression is the body, but the heart of it is like the soul. And these two things, they work together in each culture. Mm-hmm. I think that works. I think that makes sense.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, good.
Cool.
I want to check with my analogies with you to make sure you're not heresy.
Well, I mean, here's the thing with it. All analogies fall apart in the end.
Very true.
By virtue of the fact that they're analogies.
Yes.
Right? Just like, anyways. Just like Italians. Anyways.
That's only after a lot of Sambuca. Then we fall. A little bit of grappa, then we fall apart at the end. That's fine.
All right, well, let's head into presbyteral exhortations. All right, so I'm going to see how well I work this one out. But I was hanging out with some of the Aggie Catholics last week. They invited me.
Boo, Aggies.
They invited me to come hang out with them on Zoom, so I did.
Boo! Listen, all I know about Aggies is they're very into their identity, and that makes me want to make fun of them.
Oh, I see.
It's not a good thing, but it's just what I feel.
Just like people from Pittsburgh.
Right.
So do you make fun of Pittsburgh people then? Like, just...
I think, it's different, because with Pittsburgh, it's obviously jealousy. With Aggies, I have no idea what they're about. Like, this is obviously the best city in the world. Like, why? Of course, you either love us or hate us, because you're either jealous or you appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, Aggies, you're not that special. I'm glad you got to hang out with Father Harrison, but...
Sky brought up a question about a class you'd taken a long time ago. And I thought it was a good question, because I think it gets to an important topic. I want to talk about God's love. I know I know it sounds repetitive, and we hear it about it all the time, and it almost loses its power and its force. And that saddens me, actually, because I think part of that reason is the way God's love is presented sometimes is in a very banal fashion.
You literally just gave like the opening lines to most of my wedding homilies, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
So we're on the same page.
We're on the same page here. Okay, good. So I get this, right? So, but she was mentioning how in one of her classes, I think if I'm trying to remember this correctly, but she said something that the teacher starts off the class by saying, God does not passionately love you. And then also said that God does not love you equally, does not love everyone equally. And I kind of gave a little like, And I think I know what he's trying to get with that. I get it, because listen, with the way we often, even the way God's love is presented, it loses the sense of analogy, which is vital. Like the difference, the ever greater difference is lost, and all that is emphasized is the similarity. So I totally get that. And so that makes God's love very banal. It equates him to be the exact same thing as what's the word I'm looking for? As romantic love. Right? Okay. So that's why I get that. And I think it's trying to attack a certain emotionalism around love.
Or just the professor's just flexing his theological muscles and being a bit of a jerk to throw people off their game and to scandalize them. And
I kind of get that. And listen, we all do that sometimes, but I'm like, that one, it's like, I could see how for some people that could get to the heart of things, because when you've been told for many years that God passionately loves you, and then you have a theology professor saying, no, everything that everyone ever told you is wrong.
Yeah.
That often doesn't do us a lot of good either. So,
no.
I mean, I don't know what the professor or anything said. I don't know what his intention was. I don't know what he said in the rest of his classes.
Listen, I already judged all the Aggies. Now I'm judging that professor.
Okay.
He's being a jerk.
Right. So and listen, I'm glad the question was brought up, because
yes, it's a good question.
It's a good question. And so what it got me doing was rereading at least the first half of Deus Caritas Est, which is a beautiful and a very accessible encyclical by Ratzinger, Pope Benedict. The first time ever a pope has written on love as an encyclical topic. So I kind of relooked at it. And I'm not going to go over the whole document, because I think that's something people can just read. But one of the things it really brought up, so the first thing that it brought up around was this idea of God's passionate love. Was Pope Benedict uses the phrase God's passionate love 10 times. Okay. Now here's the question then. So what do we mean by passionate love? Because I think this is important, because the reason I think this is the way that question or that statement was presented is, for a lot of people, I think the idea that God loves them is sometimes the only thread that keeps them going through life.
Yep. And
so instead of cutting the thread off, we should strengthen the thread.
Yes.
Right? And then there's a whole bunch of, especially when you're in university, man, talk about emotionally confusing times around identity and purpose and all this stuff. Vocation. It is an emotionally and spiritually and psychologically messy time. And in many ways, I don't miss it at all.
Yeah.
It's it's good to be 37.
I spent my time in seminary. I don't miss that at all.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but it gets to this weird paradox. So how do we debanalize the idea of God's love, while at the same time recognizing that this is the only truth that seems to actually get people through life? That, for a lot of people, this experience of God's passionate love for them, that God chases after them, that all these adjectives we kind of use about how God comes after us, is vital and important. So the way I think it's, and before I kind of shut up and let you talk, is the way Pope Benedict presents his idea of love. As we know, he talks about eros and agape, and really, actually, most of the first half is more about eros than agape.
Yeah,
it's about God's desirous love and our desirous love for God. But for Pope Benedict, he says you can't love God until you know that He's loved you first. Right? This is 1 John, and so for him, he says eros and agape are not two things in opposition with each other, but they're rather two expressions of one love. And they're both at the same time. You can't have self-giving love without desirous love. You can't have desirous love without self-giving. You can't give yourself away without receiving, and vice versa. You need both at the same time. But here's the problem. The way we often look at love is only in its agapic lens. And I think one of the geniuses of Deus Caritas Est, it says, no, agapic love is not sufficient. It is not sufficient on a human level, because it is not how God actually lives his divine life. So we actually need to build up our desire for God's love, which comes from that encounter with his love. And that also, I think, for me, this is one of the really important parts of it all. Because we hear, I don't know about you, but I think it's also especially a special temptation for priests. Well, who cares if people didn't, recognize this day of your priesthood, whatever. All that matters is that you give. But that, I'm starting to realize, that's bad. That's bad theology. And it ignores the incarnation, and it ignores the cross. Because what is the cross? But God's desirous love poured out. God seeking after us and pouring himself out at the same time. It's eros and agape all at once. So I got more, but
Yeah, no, okay. But you said a lot of really good things.
okay.
Uh, and I think the challenge and kind of the joy of preaching as well, one of the biggest challenges and biggest joys, is trying to convey what is essentially ineffable, God's love,
Mhm.
right? And it can become vague because really, if you think about it, all reality is based on God's love.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that anything exists apart from God, and by apart from God, I mean other than God, um, is because God loves.
Mm-hmm.
Like he loved the idea of of created existence, and he did it. Like the whole reason why we even exist is not because God needed us, not because he wanted applause or people in pews or anything like that. He's like, I just feel like sharing my love with a creation, and so he did it. So it's one of these things. It reminds me of a story of I might have shared this before, but there was a at my last parish, I was visiting the school, and I was challenging the kids to ask me a question that I couldn't answer, which of course is impossible because I know everything. And one of the kids very smugly thought he had the answer, and the question that I couldn't answer, and it was, "What is the meaning of life?" And because in culture, like to find the meaning of life, you have to climb a tall mountain, you have to talk with some sort of sage or monk, and instead of answering your question, he's going to give you a deeper question. It's like, no, for Catholics, the truth is the meaning of life is love,
Mm-hmm.
like period. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that instinctually we know. You hear it on the radio, hear it on your, you hear it. I say the radio. Who listens to the radio anymore? But like we know this. But the pain, the difficulty is while we know on some level love is the meaning for everything, we don't quite know what love is because we don't quite know who God is. So there is this
Mm.
tension, and it's tough to talk about because we very much so experience God through the created world, and so anything from having bad experience with parents or having difficult romantic relationships, all of this can
Mm.
poison the idea of love. And so while even consciously we're not thinking about, I have difficulty with God's love because of my upbringing, or I have difficulty with the idea of God's love because of a relationship that I had, that seeps in because you're hearing the same words, from the pulpit. So it does make it very difficult to talk about. But one of the joys about preaching, and this is why a priest needs to have a deep spiritual life, because
Mm-hmm.
he over and over again has to relearn who God is. Over and over again, we have to relearn what God's love is. We have to experience that in the confessional ourselves. We have to experience that through consolations in prayer. And we have to take all of that in so that we can give something of what we've received to other people. Um, and then you add extra difficulties with like, okay, God loves us, but it's also 2020 and everything's bad. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are my initial thoughts. But
Yeah.
yes,
So, yeah, I think you're right. Like, so I'm going to get a little bit more metaphysical here for a second
let's
because this is
do
where my
it.
reading's been lately. It's the idea that being is love.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
The
like that.
being is love. That is everything. Everything about being is about giving itself away and returning to itself. This is how God has constituted the created order. Why? Because this is how God is in and of himself. But this is the beautiful thing about the Trinity, right? The idea of God giving himself away to the Son, the Son returning himself through the Holy Spirit. This is the whole eternal, but this is both giving and receiving, desire and agape, all at once. This is who God is. And so if God's going to create being, it's going to share in that pattern and that rhythm, right? And so to be human is to live for love, but this is not love again. So I think the issue often is we fall into a sentimentality around love. But even there, is a kind of even there is not a bad thing, because if being is love, then that's going to express itself both in objectivity, in affectivity. So it is going to be something felt. It is going to be something personal. It is going to be something communal. Because this is the very structure of being, right? And so if this is how being is, then to be human is to be the kind of culmination of this whole of what being is, and to live that out in its most perfect way, which expresses itself in the union between a man and a woman, and in the coming forth of a child. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is who God is, and this is who we are, which means then that everything about our humanity is important when we comes about talking about love. And you're right, like what you said earlier about this idea, like how we experience relationships in the world so mediates how we understand ourselves as a human being, and how we are loved. And so it's the role and mission of the church to mediate the revelation of God's love in Christ. Right? This is why it's very easy for people to reject Christ, because the church becomes an obstacle, an anti-sign sometimes to that love.
Yep.
The church is judged by how much she lives out the Trinitarian form of love, right? And so this it expresses itself how we understand freedom, how we understand affectivity, how we understand everything. Love really is everything, but not in a sentimental way. And so it's important for people to recognize like that we're loved, because that's really how God is actually communicating himself to us at every single moment. Every single moment. God, like the fact that I am is a fruit of love.
Yeah.
Because I kind of, okay, to again get a little philosophical here, existentially, I experience both my being and nothingness at the same time. Right? I ought not to be.
Right. There's
Right?
nothing within you that makes you be. What's a better way to put that? Like, that's right. Okay, so like
I'm not self-subsistent.
Exactly. So
Right?
it's like there's nothing about Father Anthony that makes Father Anthony exist. I don't have the reason for myself in myself.
Yourself.
I don't know of a better way to put it than what we tried to do.
And so, but that's the idea, that becomes a sign in the sacrament that points to the fact that we are upheld in love by God, right? And so the whole point of the cross is actually it reveals to us the dynamic of creation again. Sin wants to withhold. It wants to hold being back. It wants to hold love back. It says to be is to be yourself individually as an atom. This is the logic of sin. It's the logic of devil. It's why this idea of like individual freedom, that I am only myself insofar as I have my own freedom, my own rights, and I can assert my things as my way. That's actually not the Christian form of freedom. That's the devil's form of freedom. That's his vision of freedom, because it sees freedom in an as it refuses to see freedom and limits come together. But for the Christian, freedom is relational, right? So Ratzinger has this phrase. He says, in God, you have being for, which is the Father, being from, which is the Son, and being with, which is the Holy Spirit. He says that's the dynamic of human freedom, which means it's always communal. So to love and to be is always to be in communion with others, which means you have to give yourself away. But here's the other thing, is that others now have to give themselves away to us. And so all of this is to say, I know, sorry, I got excited for a moment and allowed my studies this week to kind of start creeping out. But all this is to say that there's nothing wrong with the idea of God's passionate love, because
right, yeah, that's the short version. The spark notes of this podcast is yes,
because God shows that passion in the Son. I mean, and this is the hardship, and this shows you how radical God's love is for us. It is given away agapically in the cross, and on the cross is shown this desire, and it's only received by two. It's offered for the whole world, but only two are there to receive it. Well, maybe three with the thief, I guess. But it shows you that God's willing to risk the brokenheartedness of love, because he wants to rescue us so much. He is so tired of seeing us broken in sin. He is so tired of seeing us in the same patterns that bring us down. And he's so tired of us seeing not being able to see how much he delights in us. And he wants to show us, I delight in you. And that I'm even willing to risk a broken heart so that you can know that you are delighted in. Because that passionate love is passionate, not just in like an ecstatic sense, but also in a suffering sense, right? That more traditional sense of passio. God, I mean, there is nothing more passionate than the cross. Because there's nothing more suffering. Sorry. I'm kind of
sorry. Like your metaphysical rant actually opened up something for me that I've been wrestling with in my spiritual life. I'm going to try to talk about it. Let's see if it works. But when you said that we experience our being and our non-being at the same time, right? So I know that I do exist and I'm upheld in existence, but I know it's not me that's upholding it. Let's see if I can make this work. A lot of times we experience that non-existent aspect of ourselves. We experience it as despair. This is what happens to a lot of like really hardcore atheists. They get to the truth of our non-being, if you will, or even us sometimes in moments of extreme loneliness, moments of extreme depression. We feel deeply our own emptiness, and it's crushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the light of God's love, our emptiness is the best way we experience God's love. Because we are completely, in a sense, existentially maybe receptive. We are created to receive. So the Christian mystery is realizing that your emptiness is how you experience the superabundance of God's love. Okay, so that's essential. But let's make it more salvation history and the cross. And this is why the happy fault of Adam. So I think one of the most moving things about God's love, and why we talk about it just as much as God's love, is the aspect of love we experience in mercy. That God sees completely our sins and our rejection of him. And not only does he forgive us, he also gives us all these gifts on top of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in a broken and sinful world, so you've got one, the experience of that kind of existential emptiness, but two, on top of that, the experience of sin and rejection of God. And then God takes that, which is the greatest weapon against us, and flips it. So now we don't only experience God's love in one way, we also experience it as mercy, which is somehow, I think, analogous to our being to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And referring back to last episode, I think I mentioned this about letting go of the idea of holiness, and like for me, the my own efforts, letting go of that idea of self. Because the thing that's been coming to me in prayer is just like, I'm empty. And something about that's been really comforting. It's one of those things that sometimes you experience in prayer, like, I know this is the right thing to pray, but I don't know why yet. So I guess I'll just keep going until it feels weird. That's what that is. And so when you said that, it clicked for my brain. It's like, because the point is that I am empty. And that I find solace in that because God has, one, forgiven me, and two, it keeps me in existence because of his love. Yeah. And so even our worst sinfulness doesn't get in the way of God's love. It actually helps us experience it more, which is still weird, but also really awesome.
Yeah. So you got, man, you're going to really bring out the Ulrich in me. So just a quick aside for those who are wondering why I'm kind of thinking this way. I've been reading for the last year and a half this little book called Homo Abyssus by Ferdinand Ulrich, the drama of the question of being, and where this is all coming from. Because what you're saying here is exactly the point, and this is actually kind of beautiful, because also like what you're going through spiritually is actually what I'm really trying to argue for in my thesis.
Oh, good. I hope we're both right.
Right? Is this idea? This nothingness. You see, the reason those who refuse to reject our nothingness, or to see it as something to be avoided at all costs, or to be just embraced as the only fact of being, is to reject our creatureliness. To be creature is to be dependent, that I am not self-sufficient. So what this kind of starts to build up in us is, so for the Christian, though, is actually to say, no, go into the nothingness. Because there you are creature. This is actually St. Thomas Aquinas, by the way, too. There's a lot of Thomas Aquinas in all this.
And John of the Cross and Teresa of Avila. It's all clicking in my brain.
Yeah. The nothingness is not to be afraid of, because this is the place where God actually shows his love for you. Because this is the place, but the only way for grace to start to take place and work in your life is when you open your heart, if you will, into the abyss of the fact that I am actually nothing. Because only in that moment does God say, aha, now I've got you.
Yeah.
Now you are in the place to receive everything that is grace, right? And this is so this kind. I think I might have even read this before on the podcast, but I'm going to read it again because this is the quote from Ratzinger that's kind of got me thinking this way, right? The nothing that the disciples share with Jesus expresses at once the power and impotence of the apostolic office. On their own, by the force of their own understanding, knowledge, and will, they cannot do anything they are meant to do as apostles, right? How could they possibly say, I forgive you your sins? How could they conceivably say, this is my body, or impose their hands and pronounce the words, receive the Holy Spirit? Nothing that makes up the activity of the apostles is the product of their own capabilities. But in precisely having nothing to call their own, it is precisely having nothing to call their own that their communion with Jesus consists. Since Jesus is also entirely from the Father, and we are created in the Son, right? So we are entirely from the Father too, as being only through him and in him, and would not exist at all if he were not a continual coming forth and self-return to the Father. Having nothing of their own draws the apostles into communion of mission with Christ. This service, in which we are made the entirety property of another, this giving of what does not come from us, is called sacrament in the language of the church. This is the work of grace. This is how it all works. This is where God's love is, and this actually does show the passionate love of God. This is because the cross, Jesus goes into hell. He goes into the extremes of non-being and says, guess what? Now, he doesn't have to do this. Okay, this is not a synthesis of God. This is not a Hegelian synthesis of thesis and antithesis, but rather it is God actively going out of himself into his creation and saying, listen, that thing that you think is the source of everything that is bad about you is actually your greatest gift. And I want to show you how much it is loved. I am willing to go to that place with you, for you. And I want to meet you there. So for us as Christians, to encounter this kind of passionate love of God, it's about opening the heart to this fact that I am dependent. Because for Aquinas, like the argument from causation says, like, no, it's only when I recognize I'm always dependent that I realize God's actually there at every moment. It's not a sequential argument. It's actually an argument from existence. So embrace the nothingness. Throw yourself into it. Existentialism says this is the fact of life. This is the darkness, and there's nothing more. And Christianity says, no. Go this path, because there you will encounter grace, which is God's life-giving love.
Dude,
I did not plan for it to go that direction at all.
I mean, it's great for me. I hope people get something out of it, but it's just it has clicked things that have been going on in me for weeks, and I'm just like, I'm loving it.
It's funny. I mean, it kind of like how I started off this topic is not where
not how we ended.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And people got a little peek into what I've been reading the last year and a half. Yeah. So there we go. Well, I guess on that happy note about nothingness and existential darkness, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, all those places where you listen to podcasts. Please leave a review. Please tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your enemies too, because Jesus says you must love your enemies. You can find me on Twitter at FR Harrison.
You can find me in awe of the mystery of God's love.
You can find us on Facebook, Clerically Speaking, Twitter at ClericalPod, and emails clericallyspeaking@gmail.com. And we will see you all next week. God bless.
Peace.
Okay, I'm going to keep the recording.
Oh, we can turn off the Audacity.
Yeah, that's what I've just done. Now we can chat for a bit.
Chat. Yeah, so for
chat.
those answering coming in later, we did a little chat with the chat, and then we just did an episode live for you. And now we're gonna hang out.
Hey, Jay Kizzle, how have you heard about Ulrich? Have you studied Ulrich? Because when you put that in the chat, I was like, someone knows.
You almost threw him off. He was so excited. You almost lost your point. It was amazing. Oh, did I miss? Where's my phone? I'm sorry, Father. I don't know what the question is.
Pauline, you're right. This is, and so I mean, there's a lot more to it than what we just talked about.
Yeah. There's be careful.
By saying I am nothing. It's the way for being to become like concrete. So it's not saying it's not just saying I am totally nothing, but it's actually the starting point where I recognize I'm a creature. See, the Buddhist would say I am nothing, and it actually wants to remove creatureliness.
Yeah. Whereas the incarnation is proof that's not what we believe.
Right. So it says that nothing. So in other words, the Christian tradition says like nothingness is actually an important category of being that we need to take seriously, not just metaphysically, but even existentially. But it's not. But it's always in conversation with the being that God has given us.
Yeah.
And that gift, and those two things coming together. Katie, don't worry, it's gonna be up next week anyways. So
yeah. So we recorded one episode for this week, and then for the second one on a whim, we decided to do it live. So
why not?
That's what was going on. Because why not?
And I think now that we're not on the pot, like I'm starting to get Father Anthony length hair here. Not quite, but I'm getting this is getting way too long.
Let's yeah, and you know how analogy fails? I think yours has failed pretty quickly on that one.
I haven't had a haircut in 4 months.
I haven't had a haircut in like a year.
I might shave it all off. That sounds like a you problem, Katie.
Sounds like jealousy. Not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been watching the fleets about your child, and I've been very invested. And I think you did a great job today. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah. So this is my one sad. So since I'm only on Twitter on browser now,
they don't have fleets on browser,
do they? They don't have fleets on browser. So, and that honestly, the only reason I cared about fleets was Katie's posts.
Wait, Data Venenos? You're listening to this Wednesday morning? Where are you at? Not specifically. We don't want to.
That sounds like Australia. That sounds like Australia.
Is it?
Or no. Well, yeah, maybe Australia. Yeah. Father Daryl. Yeah. Oh no, number one guard. That's what I usually do. I'm just afraid of freaking everyone out at the parish because they've only seen me with like longer hair.
I did like a number one guard with my beard.
Well, I do that all the time with my beard. Yeah. But yeah, how's everyone else doing? Oh, Philippines. Okay.
Yeah.
Similar-ish.
Cool. I mean, not on that side of the world, I guess. But
I've got a lot of friends.
They're very different.
They are very different. No, I know they're very different. But they're on the same-ish area. Yeah. Anyways, I just got a lot of friends in Australia, so I'm used to like always having to do the calculations a day ahead.
Yep.
Yep.
So what I get to do after this is I get to have everyone's favorite leftover Thanksgiving meal, which is
turkey sandwich.
No.
Oh, leftover ravioli.
Ravioli! Yay! Hi,
hey,
Carl. Welcome to the chat. We recorded an episode. Now we're just hanging out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Until we get bored of you people.
Yeah.
What is? 1 second. I get to answer Dan's dubia.
Oh, he wanted to. I think he shared a tweet with us that we totally forgot about because he texted it to us and we did. I don't have it in the Suma chat in our Suma DM.
Did he tell us to do it? Because
He said let me rephrase it. He said if he had a podcast where he read tweets, he would read this one.
Okay, good. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
I totally forgot about it too.
Sorry. Don't break my thumbs again, please.
Yeah, I mean,
oh wait, you need
the text of a W. Oh, okay. Oh,
it's becoming too inside baseball.
This is way too inside baseball.
Let's see. Were there any other
I don't know what that tweet is. Is that like a recent tweet he did?
Sophia, if you're still here, that's cool that you've been listening since your confirmation.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's see, what else did we miss?
Wait, what? Inside baseball is rubber? Oh, the inside of a baseball is rubber. I'm presuming you're holding Mary and only typing with one hand.
Yeah.
But seriously, I love all the Mary photos, and it just makes my day every day. I have no idea what you're talking about, Father Dan.
It's Alphonsus Liguori. It's something like German theology, blah blah blah, and he's sweating, and then it's like, this is what you need to do to keep the little devils from getting inside of you. Taking notes. Yeah. It's an ode to simple pietistic theology, which is very, very true. It's one of his best. Yeah.
Alex, yeah, we just finished recording an episode. I mean, here's the thing. You're in seminary, so you probably don't need to study.
I have two thoughts about studying in seminary. Number one is, do you know what they call a priest who got all C's in seminary? Father. What? Two, it really is good to learn things, but learning things and doing well on tests aren't necessarily the same. Right. But also, doing well on tests at least removes some of the anxiety of the constant fear that if I fail this exam that I won't be a priest, which, oh God, I remember that still. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But it is important to learn things because you won't get as much chance to learn things. Still read books.
Yeah, you can still read books and stuff, but I
do a lot by reading books.
I miss going to classes. Actually,
there are some classes like I would love to take a Psalms class.
Yeah,
I'd love to. It's funny. My church fathers class was taught by a Lutheran, which I always found.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, and he was good. It was just teaching the history and what they said. I'm like, but how? But how are you still the way you are? I don't understand.
Yeah. All right. Favorite movies. Okay. Best all time for me, honestly, is It's a Wonderful Life.
Boo. I can't stand that movie. Sorry, keep going.
Listen, everything we just talked about, that movie is.
I just hate every character in that movie.
Oh my gosh, Kate, look what you started.
They're also whiny or dumb. They're either whiny or dumb or stupid and panicky. I don't like them. I don't like them.
What are you talking about? Like, give me an example. What are you talking about?
Well, like the main character guy, he's always whining about his life or whatever. And then like his friend is really dumb and they still put him in charge of money and that's stupid. And like the townspeople.
This is how life is.
Yeah, maybe why I don't like it. Maybe that's why I like Marvel movies, because it's not how life is. It's cool with explosions.
I would say also then on top of that, for me, one of the most important movie experiences I ever had. Well, there's two more. I'd say like just out of movie experiences. One was Usual Suspects. Was one of the most. It was just one of those like foundational films where I didn't expect the conclusion and stuff like that, and it did it so well, and it was so well acted. It was such a great film. And then The Dark Knight was just such a huge movie. I went to see that like 14 times in theaters. So those are some favorite movies, I guess. What about you, Father Anthony?
I grew up on like bad action movies or good action movies that we just watched over and over and over and over again in my house.
Yeah.
So like Indiana Jones, or like not great action movies that I still love deeply, like The 13th Warrior. Mm-hmm. You know what? Carl's in the group. He was like, you have to see this movie. I'm like, I want to go home. It's late. I think it was on one of my breaks or whatever. He's like, no, you have to see it. And it was John Wick. And I loved it. I loved it so much.
John Wick is so good. All three.
Yeah, so
Action,
I rarely watch a movie trying to get like insights or think feelings. I just want to see cool stuff happen.
No, but John Wick is good
look at
because
the
there's
sick
really
flow,
good
bro.
but John Wick is good. There are actually really good, awesome themes around myth and stuff like that in the movies.
There's a lot of, I love the whole world building by just
Yeah.
throwing you in the world.
Yeah.
They did that very well the first two. The
Very
third one, they
Heideggerian.
did it was a little too much like they didn't throw you into the world. They explained everything. Is Nick on here? Is he putting up tweets now? Or any people's responses?
No, that was
now?
me. No, that's me. That's me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Least favorite movie. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know because like you don't really remember the least favorite because they were such a bad experience. You're just like, oh, I gotta think about that.
I watched. It was when I was dating this girl in high school. We went to see this movie, and we're both good Christians. And the opening scene was a sex scene, and we both felt very awkward the entire time. It was just a miserable experience. I forget what movie it was, and the rest of the movie was like super.
Then
tense.
you went to seminary.
Yeah, and then I entered seminary. So whatever that movie was, I did not like that.
Trying to think. I know there's some movies I really hated, but I just, yeah, I gotta think. I don't know. The problem, Alex, with like least from last year is that like
you have to do like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you got to do like 2 years ago because, and my problem was. You see, my problem was because before this, I was in Port Alberni where we kind of sort of had a movie theater. So I didn't really get a chance to see a lot of movies. Yeah. So I'm back. So, I moved to a big city and now there's movie theaters, but there's really nothing to go see. So right now it's not safe to go to theaters right now.
And a lot of like the Marvel movies I watched with my buddies and just like that experience has been a lot of fun. So I liked all of them. I also have low expectations. Like if they're fun, I'm happy. And there you go. And I'm usually happy with them.
Favorite Christmas movie? That's
Issa. What do you mean by saying we have podcast faces?
Oh.
What do you mean by that?
Mad. Like maybe she means like mad, not like as in like crazy.
I don't know what she means.
Like,
I feel like she needs to explain herself.
I think she means legit mad. Like,
I don't know.
Okay, the sandwich question is a good one. Honestly, turkey is the best sandwich meat. It's so adaptable. I mean, I'm a simple man. Listen, okay. The best sandwich was my dad's clubhouse at his restaurant. My dad had a stupid sandwich restaurant growing up. So I would go work there on the weekends when I was in school, cleaning dishes and stuff. And my wage was the tips. So when you're in grade 3, all you're doing is cleaning tables and you get like $20 in tips. You're so rich.
For a kid. Yeah.
You're rich, right? So my dad made really good sandwiches. He always used fresh meat. None of it was processed. So I had a whole bunch of sandwiches that he made that I loved. He had a barbecue chicken sandwich that was great. His clubhouse was just a classic because it was fresh turkey, bacon, ham, cheese, lettuce, tomatoes on the 3 pieces of bread. But it was just. Everything was ratioed just perfectly. And he also has this bacon mushroom melt with cheese on it. That is really, really salami's boring.
Salami is delicious. Next time you come to Pittsburgh, we're going to go down to the Strip District, which is not as exciting as it sounds. And we're going to go to these Italian delis. We'll get you some good salami, some good prosciutto. You'll love it. But
I like prosciutto.
Yeah,
turkey's great. I love turkey. I eat turkey every day and chicken. I love chicken and turkey.
There's a restaurant that actually just opened recently around here that I went to the one time, and having a good like grilled cheese, but having like turkey in there as well, delightful. Obviously, meatball sandwiches are great. Probably it's not even like a sandwich, but whenever my dad would be making sauce during the day, like just scoop out a meatball out of the sauce, put it on a piece of bread.
See, is there anything better than like really? There's nothing better than a good tomato sauce, a good homemade tomato sauce that's zesty and
I mean, we had our ravioli last Sunday, just this 2 days ago. Amazing.
Vatican Google. So funny story. Well, not this. I mean, salt and vinegar chips are amazing. But so when I went to Australia in February, one of our listeners gave me a can of. Someone gave me some Marmite. I still haven't opened it. Because I know what it's supposed to taste like, and I'm just like, I don't think I can do it. I just don't think I can do it.
Yeah, no. Also, because my sandwich choices are limited because I don't eat vegetables. So
I'm making homemade stew tonight.
that's cool.
I bought 3 pounds of stew beef, and it's all ready. I got the recipe all ready to go. I'm looking forward to making that. And then tomorrow, I'm making. I'm going to do my first round of my peppermint candy cane cheesecake with
That's
icing
exciting.
and chocolate drizzle.
That sounds amazing.
I did it last
salt
year.
And vinegar chips. I've never put them on a sandwich, but I love me some salt and vinegar chips. And then Carl, I have a question. Did you pass? Did you have a test today? Did you pass? Did you win?
Wait, Katie, what do you mean you've mind controlled me?
Well, she's turned this into a parody of Spicy Nugs, or just or closer to her show where they do cooking things. Yeah,
exactly. She's just gonna now just rate. Well, we're not on Twitch, so she can't rate our channel.
Right, it's true. Final thoughts. Yeah, you didn't fail. Good job, Carl.
Nice.
Spicy.
Oh, I saw that you made the beef stew yesterday. Yeah, it's true. I did see that. It looked really good. I was like, oh yeah, I'm making that tonight actually. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the cheesecake. It's so good. Yeah, but Carl, that's just called being a student.
Yeah, well, Carl's been a student for longer than any of us. So poor buddy. Went to college, went to seminary, went back to school. Now it's more school.
I mean, I'm still in school.
Yeah, but I think he's had less of a break than you, maybe.
Let's see here. Oh, okay. I'll give you my academic outline, and then you can let me know. All right. So I graduated high school when I was 18, and I spent 5 years in university because I switched programs so much. Okay.
Right.
Then I worked for 2.5 years. Then I was in seminary for 6 years, but 2 of those years were pastoral experiences, so I don't know if that counts. And then at the last year, up until a year and a half ago, I was working on my master's. And
you might have Carl beat.
And then in the last year and a half, I've been doing my doctorate so far. Yeah. But it's all part-time and no classwork.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different. It's different.
Carl and I play Rocket League during his classwork. So.
Yeah.
Well, any last words from the chat? I'm gonna boogie on out of here.
I should probably go start making. Oh yeah, Alex. One quick thing. Here's the other thing. If you just coast at the right level, you will be. You'll do well enough that they'll think this guy will make a competent priest in our diocese one day, but low enough that they won't ask you to do anything more than just parish work. So that's a great level to aim for.
Mm-hmm. B+. You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We were not going to do this all the time, but like I said, we did this on a whim.
We both had open schedules, so it's all good.
Worked out tonight.
All right. I'm going to end the broadcast now. God bless you guys. We'll see you later.